and those things that create more challenges. Like we were saying, some of us aren't used to going to seeking help and asking for help.
You know what the first thing that our immigrant communities bring to our city and to our country? Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Everybody that comes here comes with a positive idea, almost everybody that comes here comes with a positive idea that they're going to make their life better and make the lives of the other people around them better. So that's the first thing we really need to remember. Almost nobody comes here with an idea to be a drain on America, to be a problem in Los Angeles. You know, and it's so much, when you say immigrant communities, so many times people come up, oh, these are the people that have come to take from us.
Right.
Well, the immigrant communities, the Sikh community, the Pakistani community, the Latino community, all our immigrant communities come here and they give much more than they take, for the most part. And this is something to remember. I think there are a lot of very difficult hurdles that communities face to come here. That when they come here, I think that, you know, we were discussing one thing about finding jobs and stuff. I think the city needs to be more broad-minded in its qualifications and its pursuant of people who do decline jobs. It's very hard for a person. I wear a turban and a beard. I go almost anywhere in this city and apply for a job. You know, they can see my qualifications and accept me, and during the interview it's like, oh, we just filled the position. You know, I'm terribly sorry. You know, we don't even get to the point where they'll ask me to take my turban off or cut my hair, which, by the way, is against my religious commitment, so I can't do.
Sure.
You know, so many that come here, many Sikhs in particular that come here, but many other communities come here and they're asked to sacrifice things that they shouldn't be asked to sacrifice. Sikhs are asked to make a choice between feeding their family and their religious beliefs, and that should never happen in America. So
there is, you know, the elephant in the room, right? There is conflict. There are flashpoints in the city. There are places in the city where immigrants are at odds with one another. There is conflict, and that conflict is real. It's conflict that is born not only racial or ethnic tension. It's conflict that has to do with resources. It has to do with where people live. It has to do with their geography. It has to do with their heritage. But I agree exactly. I think you put it right. No one comes to this country to take, and they come here to be part of this experience. And so I feel that one of the things as we move forward is really having to connect with those folks so that they feel. So one of the things that we advocate for is to have the top 7 languages or top 10 languages really be highlighted and celebrated, and have those folks connect and have their own language be expressed and also written.
Clearly, we enrichen the lives of our city and our country, but this is also a national conversation and a hot-button conversation. So in between the presidential campaigns, where immigration and race has been both avoided and taken on head-on, and between the Rushes and the Bill O'Reillys and the Lou Dobbs, we fit somewhere in the middle, and we have to address these important issues and take the heat and the fire down a little bit. You know, how do we do that?
That is really crucial, because, I mean, when you look at it, that the immigrant has become the dirty word. You know, the immigrant is up to be, you know, just committed violence against. Just a couple things I'd like to mention. We'd done a town hall in Watts about 2 years ago, and what we repeatedly found, and we talk about this black-brown conflict, that it was really police misconduct and police abuse that was really targeting our youth as well. About the whole immigrant community, we need to look at the reasons why people migrate. You know, so that's really critical as to how NAFTA has displaced communities.
You know, we're just barely touching the tip, but this has been a fascinating conversation. I'd like to thank all of you gentlemen for being here today, and thank our viewers for taking the time to join us. The Human Relations Commission's mission is to help solve the city's challenges at grassroots levels. For more information or to get involved, you can contact the City Human Relations Committee by calling 213-978-1660 or by going to the website at www.lacity.org/HRA. If you can't remember all of that, just go to lacity.org. Take the time to get involved with your community. This is your city. Learn more about your neighbors. You might be pleasantly surprised the next time you have a conversation with them. Remember, we are LA. John.
to Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
Morning. This is Tuesday, March 24th, 2009, a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. We meet on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 o'clock in the morning here at City Hall on the first Friday of the month. We are in the Van Nuys City Hall. You are able to access City Hall by both going to the San Fernando Valley and in Ms. Han's district in the San Pedro area now with the ability to teleconference there as well. We do need 10 members for a quorum. I would like to thank Council members Han, Parks, Perry, Smith, and Zine for being here, and Mr. Cardenas. We are asking that Mr. Huizar, Mr. Labange, Mr. Reyes, Mr. Weiss, Mr. Weston, Mr. Garcetti to make their way down to the council chambers. It is 10:10. Thank you, Mr. Labange and Mr. Garcetti. We now have, and Mr. Garcetti. We now have a quorum. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. I'm sorry, you don't have.
We're one short. We're one short.
Who? We have Mr. Cardenas? No?
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weasel, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Weston, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Hahn moves and Ms. Gruel seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
All right, Mr. Huizar moves and Mr. Labange seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well. Next order of business.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and there's a flag salute.
All right. Mr. Parks, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? And if I could ask everybody to rise for our salute to the flag. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Everybody would stand, place your hand over your heart, and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business, please.
Mr. President, would you like to go through the agenda?
Yes, please. If we can go through the agenda.
Items 1 through 6 are street lighting districts. Notice for public hearing. Council should continue the hearings and present the ordinances on April 14th.
Okay. Without objection, we'll go ahead and open those public hearings, continue them to the 14th. Next items.
Items 7 through 12 are confirmation of building and safety liens. Notice for public hearing. Department reports that items 7, 8, and 12 may be received and filed inasmuch as liens have been paid.
Okay. Does anybody object to receiving a file 7 and 8? If not, let's go ahead.
And 12.
I'm sorry, and 12. Let's go ahead and open the roll on those, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are received and filed. Next items, please.
And that would lead the confirmation now on 9, 10, and 11.
Okay. On 9, 10, and 11, does anybody wish to call those special from the council? Seeing none, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 13 through 20 are items which public hearings have been held.
Okay. We've had public hearings on these. They will require a council member to reopen the public hearing. Are there any specials? Mr. Parks?
13 continued for 2 weeks.
Okay. 2 weeks would take us to April 7th.
Good.
Without objection. Ms. Gruel and Mr. Huizar?
Just on item 17, I just want to hold on the desk. I have a quick question for the department before we move on.
Special for Ms. Gruel. Mr. Huizar? 19?
18.
18. Okay. And 14 for Ms. Hahn and Mr. Labange.
20, please.
Mr. Labange calls 20 special. Okay? And 19, Ms. Hahn would like to continue until May 6th. Without objection, we'll continue that till May 6th. That leaves us 15 and 16. Nobody wishes to call those special. Let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 21 through 28 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. Item 21 is a commission appointment. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Let's make sure there's no objection to considering these items. If none, those are before us. Let's hold 21 on the desk. Do we have cards from the public on any of the other items?
Yes, Mr. President. There are cards on 23, and 28.
Okay, we'll call those special, and we will open and close the public hearings on the other items. Any specials, colleagues, 22 through 27? If not, let's go ahead and prepare the roll on the balance and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
22 will go over 1 week, and 24 through 27 are approved. If we can come back to our general public comment now, we will go ahead and each speaker has 2 minutes. We can have come forward. Lucy Caruso is our first speaker. And there's a clock to help guide our speakers' time there. And we welcome all of our speakers for general public comment. Again, this is for items that are not on the agenda, but nevertheless under the jurisdiction of the council. And a very good morning to you, Ms. Caruso.
Hello, how are you today? A while back ago, I talked about this bus accident I was in. In any event, in a little bit about bus driving that I learned, I'd have to do a pre-inspection. And I noticed, and I'm talking cars and buses and vehicles in general, but I noticed on the buses and cars, they don't have those, they don't have city stickers, and they didn't have emission stickers, and there's another identifier for a car that makes sure it's up to date on with the city and the state, and it IDs the VIN number. It all matches a visual identification to make sure everything is up to date and that those identifiers really identify the vehicle. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Caruso. Our next speaker is Pastor Bridie Roberts. After that will be Robin Wilson. Good morning.
Good morning. It's very nice to be here today. My name is Pastor Bridie Roberts, and I am a representative for Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice. I'm here today with a number of our friends, workers from your city airport, Los Angeles International Airport. Today we're here to talk to you about health care. America faces a grave health care crisis. Millions of Americans are excluded from access. The crisis is all around us, but is a special tragedy that is occurring at the very gate of our city. There are over 5,000 employees at LAX and their families that lack health care or have no access to adequate health care. They have to rely on county services or go without health care at all. And I think that we can agree that in our city, this could become a crisis situation. In times of prosperity, it's easy to forget about those most in need. And in moments of crisis, well, those people are the first to fall under the radar. It's our responsibility as leaders in our community to step up and choose a better path to provide for those who are lacking in health care. LAX is owned by the people of Los Angeles, and it's the responsibility of the city to prevent LAX from becoming a source of poverty and illness. As the city invests in modernizing LAX, it must also modernize the standards for its employees as well as its infrastructure. LAX employees are covered by the city's living wage law, but the amount provided for health care has not been updated since the law's passage over a decade ago. I mean, we've all been through the crisis every year of our own employers trying to match the cost of health care, but there has been no increase for these 5,000 or more employees in the past 10 years. So we urge the City Council to amend the living wage ordinance to achieve full family health care coverage for all of the employees at LAX. Providing full family coverage will increase access to health care in some of LA County's most disadvantaged communities and make us a healthier, safer, better city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Robin Wilson is our next speaker.
Okay.
Hey, we ask if folks can sit down just for the view of people in the back. We like to recognize people for a moment to stand up, but thank you for your understanding and making sure that everybody can see as well. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Ms. Wilson.
Thank you. Good morning, members. My name is Robin Wilson. I've been working at LAX for 6 years. Today I'm here with Reaching Higher for Healthcare. Thank you, sweetie. I'm here with the Reaching Higher for Healthcare Coalition, a group of clergy members, community leaders, and airport workers. We are dedicated to changing the lives, we're dedicated to changing the living wage to provide health care at the airport. Because we don't have health care, A lot of people I work with leave looking for better jobs. That makes it hard to train people to do their jobs well. We do everything from conducting airplane searches to helping passengers in wheelchairs. It is important that we receive proper training. I live in South LA. Other people here will tell you we have one of the lowest health insurance rates in the county. I know it's true because I live it every day. The city is busy updating the airport right now. We, the employees, would like to make sure that the city does not leave us behind in the process. We do know that these times are hard. We've seen our hours cut by 20% or more at the airport. That can be a $100 to $275 difference per paycheck. Sorry. We are making sacrifices every day to help out where we can, now more than ever, with our families in crisis. We've got to find answers to the health care problems for people like me. I get my health care at County USC. There's a history of high blood pressure, low blood pressure, cervical cancer, heart disease, and diabetes in my family. I know for a fact that preventative care makes a huge difference. It's frustrating that the airlines do not feel they should provide any health insurance, leaving many of my coworkers and sometimes myself in horrible situations. Please join with us in bringing health care to airport workers. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Rebecca Pizzatola. Good morning.
Very good morning. So again, I'm Rebecca Pizzatola. I work for Insure the Uninsured Project over in Santa Monica, and what we do is work with a variety of stakeholders to increase coverage for California's uninsured. So right now, as you've heard, there are many thousands of LAX employees and their families who lack basic health care coverage. But with your help, we can cover these workers, many of whom have been devoted workers for several years, and with continued help will be present for many more. Coverage will lead to improved quality service and security at the airport, improved community health, and will ease the burden on taxpayers for care otherwise received through the ER or public programs. Without your help, many will remain uninsured, either on public insurance or stuck in that middle ground where they make too much for public insurance but not quite enough to afford insurance in the individual market. And as you know, without health insurance, the story becomes bleak. Those with insurance live sicker and shorter lives because they don't have access to care and cannot be compliant with their treatment. They might not be able to take their medications or monitor their blood sugar. In fact, according to Families USA, 8 people die per day in California simply because they don't have insurance. The only difference is we're going to spend money on them anyway. They're probably going to end up in the ERs, and they're going to have exacerbated conditions because they've prolonged getting treated. So as the number of uninsured continues to rise, worsened by the current economic recession, the uninsured become a larger burden for California. With every decline in private insurance comes an increase in public coverage, and with every person that makes a little too much for public coverage comes another at risk for showing up in the ER with an exacerbated condition, shifting the cost elsewhere. So right now, there's an opportunity for leadership in California with health care reform. However large or small it may be, California can inspire a nation looking for the best ideas on how to move towards universal coverage. And we think this is a good option to consider. So thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for your presence here. We appreciate it very much. We'll next go to Van Nuys, and Rick Nightingale will be our next speaker. Good morning, Mr. Nightingale.
Good morning, Rick Nightingale. On this thing about the solar power, I'd like to know, there was nothing in the articles regarding, is that going to help the public? When you people meet in the van, I'd like to see Ms. Perry about that, and I'd like to ask, as people that have private homes, are they eligible to turn around and get these solar panels, and are we going to get a break like everybody else that you want to do this? And then what I want to get to is, in the Sunday paper, March 15th, it was about the water. And it said in 130 years, we have only gotten 3 times 15 inches of rain. Boy, that's big gods, man. I'd like to go to Vegas on that one. And you keep saying, well, we're low on water, we're low on water, we're low on water. But I don't know if anybody read that article, but it says right there, our state needs a growth cap And I said that before. You keep promoting people coming in and so forth, and I watch Channel 35, I see Mr. Alec on there, turn around and about the poor and the needy and so forth, and everybody's on this. And I'm sorry, man, but if you can't afford to live here, you can't afford to be here. And it's the city council's fault because you people aren't running it right. The money isn't going in the right spots. You're not conservation of the water. You're not using it right, and everything else. So you bring it back down on us. But there's the odds right there. You're saying 15 inches. It's impossible just about. I realize our water comes up from up north, but still, you're going to have to find out what's going to go on because it just can't keep going this way. And now you're going to keep turning around and tell the people, well, you're going to have to keep cutting back. You can only cut back so far, and you keep promoting people to come here to turn around and use more water. It just isn't going to work. The odds aren't there. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bill Huey is our next speaker. After that is Clyde Williams. Good morning, Mr. Huey.
Good morning. My name is Bill Huey. I'm a media spokesperson. I'm here today to share the good news about the new age of civil rights in Los Angeles. For years, the LA Housing Department has treated landlords as if we were criminals. In the past, we spoke before the City Council and we were ignored. The REAP program has been taking away rents from landlords without due legal process. The system is corrupt because wealthy developers, who are big contributors to local political elections, also have financial interests in law firms paid by the city to solicit tenants to join the REAP program. This is a form of organized crime. Well, this discrimination is about to stop. We have created a civil rights coalition that will bring landlords and renters together. REAP has forced landlords to sell their buildings below market values to developers, and when the buildings are torn down, low-income renters become homeless. The homeless population is growing in L.A. Now, one of the owners, a member of our coalition, has recently filed a civil rights lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles. Using the power of television commercials, we're going to inform the people of Los Angeles about what's been going on. A huge public outcry will follow and quite possibly inspire more landlords and more renters to file lawsuits in order to be compensated for the damage that's been done to them. We have no doubt this will become a national scandal in the media and will attract other civil rights organizations to take actions against the city. But the good news is that we can all rejoice together because we're headed down a new path of enlightenment and equality for both landlords and renters in the city of Los Angeles, and every elected official in L.A. can take pride that they helped inspire this movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Huey. Clyde Williams is our next speaker. After that is Rafael Nadal.
Dr. Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno, CD 14. LA City has a lease with the Autry National Center for the Griffith Park campus. However, they've been in default for the last 20 years because they don't even give the annual reports or any reports to the city or to the Recreation and the Parks Department. They have not complied with any of the terms and conditions of the Southwest Museum merger agreement with the Autry National Center. They can't get enough money for the Los Angeles Community College District proposal that they've been pushing. They had to go to Santa Clarita in order to get money from the federal pork trough. So why not declare Autry National Center in default of the terms and conditions of their lease agreement and renegotiate a brand new lease, including a full compliance with the Southwest Museum merger agreement? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Rafael Nadal is our next speaker. After that is Oscar Johnson.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rafael Nadal, and I'm deeply outraged over the death of 4 police officers in Oakland, California. I believe that every citizen should be outraged. I wonder where these weapons are going to show up next. At a school? At a church? I call the mayor to express my sadness and share with us and join with us in banning these cop killer weapons. I've also faxed and emailed a letter to Senator Boxers and Senator Feinstein, where I call that any parolee caught, any individual on parole caught with an AK-47 of a death sentence, a life sentence. Finally, I'd like you to share with me in prayers for those families. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, and I know during our adjourning motions we'll be saying some words about those fallen officers as well. We appreciate your words. Oscar Johnson is our next speaker, and then we'll go to Donna Pearman and Van Nuys.
Good morning. Council. My name is Oscar Johnson, proactive. I speak for the oppressed and I speak for cultural change. I see in the last years or so our country is going down the wrong direction. But think we have a new leadership in presidents today, and President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle Obama. They're on the right path, and we're following the right direction for once in a while. I see what Michelle Obama in the last Los Angeles Times paper, March 11th, said she wanted to teach the African American female motherhood, and she wanted the African American female to cover themselves. We see how so much how this country started off clean and our country got corroded. We see where millions of dollars of construction work is going on in Los Angeles, but there's no black males hired. Mayor Vergosi is violating the Fair Labor Act. We need a better government. We should indict Mayor Vergosi for the conduct of his police officer. The mayor is the head leader of the city. The Los Angeles policeman killed 4 African American men went Thursday on the 12th. 4 African American men in a 10-hour period. There's no accountability for the action. They're not prosecuted criminally, and that's totally against our Constitution. We should stand for a fair government. We should stand for a right government. If we don't, tomorrow will be the same day as today. Hypocrisy, deceit, and broken promises. We should fight for truth and justice for all, not just for a few. Our country say one nation. We are one. We're trying to go back into that direction. We should pay more attention to what's going on today. We need to help stop the genocide of the African American people through the dirty music, the dirty movies, and the dirty language that is on our airways. They should come to a stop. We need better schools. We need the schools in the direction that the president wants to direct us into, because our public schools have failed us. Our government have failed us. Our homes have failed us. It's time for us to help remake America and help remake the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Donna Pearman is our next speaker. And after that will be Dege Coetzee.
Hello, Mr. Garcetti.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it seems like we always have to bail out the rich in federal government, like the bailout of AIG. Gee, we need to pay them bonuses for failing. In our state and city, it's the form of sales tax increases. First on April to bail out the state. It won't be to help out employees. They're expendable. It's not a priority to politicians. In July, another sales tax for our bankrupt city, headed by our mayor. It will be used for high-priced rail. The city council and the mayor would love to make everybody but the rich rely on public transit. We should repeal Prop A and C. We need to put it on the ballot and get a sunset clause. That was the one where we had to pay for our transit. And that keeps on going along with our new sales tax increase in July. The city would like the middle class to go on mass transit, and the rich would go on the electric vehicle. Well, our mass transit, even with our high-priced subway, our sales tax, and MTA LA dot increases, won't be able to accommodate everybody. Everybody won't be able to get on the transit. We wouldn't be able to accommodate. But luckily, it won't happen anyway. People will still drive. A lot of people can't get on the public transit, and a lot of places you can't get to easily. Even if they can't afford it, with the sales tax affecting gas prices, sales tax affect people in a big way. We also have the digital billboard fiasco. They're suing because you are trying to please people who put up illegal billboards along Wilshire and Santa Monica. We give money to developers, CRA. It shows that so many is not given affordable health care, and so we give it to the rich. People, please, if everyone who wanted to recall Jack Weiss would vote for Tucanovich, we should make him get a real job. 20,000 people can't be wrong. Remember why you want to recall him and make a difference. Anyway, the city council and they're making us in deep trouble. We pay for your projects, but you don't help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pearman. Dege Coetzee is our next speaker. Dege, excuse me.
Good morning, council members. DJ Kuti, District 4. Mr. Kern sends his regards. He cannot be here this morning. Council, medical cannabis patients want safe, regulated dispensaries. In Los Angeles, regulating dispensaries has stopped being about patients and neighborhoods and is now about lawyers and business owners. I've come to learn that nearly 100 of these operations that opened after the ICO deadline have organized to sue the city if any of their hardship applications are denied. Some of those 187 dispensaries that fully complied with the ICO, who are very frustrated, are also seeking legal options. This was never the intention nor the desire of the patient community. We are all Angelenos, and together, I believe we can create the solutions. This is what I propose. Don't hear the hardships. Yeah, I said it. Don't hear the hardships. Instead, let's work on those important, unfinished details of the working group's draft ordinance and get good, workable regulations in place as soon as possible. Let's follow San Francisco's model in that their city attorney was very minimally involved in drafting those regulations. It was much more of a community process. Let's also follow San Francisco's model, allowing those dispensaries that are registered under the city's ICO initial access to the permitting process. There are 187 patient collectives ready right now to pay those application, permit, and hearing fees. Lastly, I ask that you please communicate with the advocates on the working group. We have put a lot of work into this process and receiving very little feedback from council and staff at this time. So please, let's get this rolling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coty. Daniel Wright is our next speaker, and then Carol Knapp.
Good morning, council members. Daniel Wright on behalf of the Friends of the Southwest Museum Coalition. I'm here today to address the question of what might happen to the Southwest Museum if this city council approves the application of the Autry National Center to double the size of the museum on taxpayer land in Griffith Park. Autry has been engaging in a public relations campaign to assure this council that if Autry is allowed to remove the entire Southwest Museum collection and exhibition spaces, you can be assured that Autry will partner with the Los Angeles Community College District to convert portions of the museum to classrooms for the district. Council members, this partnership is illusory. It is a mirage. I have distributed to you a copy of an email exchange between LACCD employees and the Autry CEO, John Gray. This email demonstrates that since 2007, the Autry has been trying to entice the LACCD to announce a partnership with Autry to establish a community college at the Southwest Museum. But as Chancellor Mark Drummond points out in his email, Autry is only offering the buildings but no operational funds to support the community college use or the cultural center that Autry says it will create after this council allows Autry to remove unnecessarily the Southwest Museum to Griffith Park. Please carefully read this email. Autry is obsessed with creating the impression of a partnership and not a partnership. I will read one passage, and that is from Mr. Gray. He says, if Mark, meaning Mr. Drummond, the mayor, Councilmember Weezar could all make the announcement, it would help us move forward. This is something that is intended to create an illusion until they can get past the entitlement process. Please watch this issue carefully, and I will return in these copies to...
Yeah, we'll make sure Sergeant at Arms takes those from you. Carol Knapp is our next speaker, and after that is Mrs. Maria Alani.
My name is Carol Knapp, and Monday, March 16th, was a very momentous day for me because I filed a class action suit against the REAP program that Bill Huey spoke about, where they take monies from elderly people throw them out of business, steal their properties, and give it to corporations. They often do this under the guise of being a charity. The infamous Hollywood and Vine, where the CRA stole 34 businesses, gave $167 million for 44 units. It worked out to $1.4 million per unit. These people are stealing our properties. In 1987, when REAP was born, Zevierovslavsky, who authored the motion, said it was the mother's milk, rent money is the mother's milk of slumlords. Well, I say that the rent monies confiscated by REAP are the mother's milk of corrupt politicians. They steal our money, they steal our property, and they call it progress. They go under the name, the land grabbers go under the names of the CRA, the REAP, SCEP, and they take property from elderly people. And we're going to stop it. This is only the beginning. We're going after all of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mrs. Maria Elaine, sorry. Maria A. Lane.
Con todo respeto, with all my respect to these honorable people that is representing the city of Los Angeles, I think I am 84 years old, born January 14, 1925. I have been working together with the past mayors of city of Los Angeles. Even Bradley, he was so nice to me. Everyone. I want to know why Antonio Villaraigosa is not putting attention what is happening to older ladies like me, 84 years old, and they come, the program REAP, they better call it rape to old ladies. They come and take the monies of my apartments that I rent. I work all my life in the movies. You see lots of my movies. I am Maria Lane. I belong to the Union SAG-AFTRA for years. I was one of the founders of the television in Spanish, thank you to un cubano, Desi Arnés. My son Fosforito bring a lot of money to Los Angeles. My daughter Mara Jaimes, Channel 28, 12 years is story time. And I can continue, and the top is Joanna Kittle, which represents the AIDS International. And here, the program REAP supposed to be helping neighbor tenants and owners of the properties. They come and take 1 year, month to month, from a terrible lady that I rented my apartment. I was so busy volunteering my time in different programs in the city, and the lady was related with gangs, and there is a lot of records what they did in my property. And in the top, they charged me $5,000 fine. So I want you people to tell me, I am an American. I born in Mexico, but I am an American. I need respect.
Thank you, Ms. Lane. Sean Murphy is our next speaker. Sean Murphy. After that will be Noel Weiss. Good morning.
Welcome back, City Council. I hope you had a nice time in Washington, D.C. I know it's missed you guys. I would ask the mayor and the MTA board not to raise the fares in July. It would be a great birthday gift in 30 days if you find a way to not raise the fare, because a lot of people are out of work right now, and I've been cut down to 3 days a week now, and a lot of people can't pay the fares. So if the mayor has any mercy, I would have him find a way to postpone the fare hike until a year from now. A year. Just find a way to postpone the MTA fares a year. That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Noel Weiss is our next speaker. After that will be Arnold Sachs.
Morning, Council. 3 quick comments. One, I read in the paper Mr. D'Arcy apparently says that we're moving forward with Measure B as if it didn't exist. I can't think of a better endorsement for the no on B, since obviously it was they didn't need Measure B to go forward in any event. And hopefully Ms. Perry and her committee this afternoon can take some testimony with regard to that. Secondly, I want to thank everybody's favorite controller, Laura Chick. Hopefully Ms. Gruhl will follow up when she's controller on the audit that Laura Chick just came out with on the failure of the planning department to follow up on entitlements. The fact of the matter is, that's the reason why we have the Lincoln Places of the world, because there was a no eviction promise, and that no eviction promise was violated, and the violation of that promise was not enforced by the planning department. Now, Ms. Chick's report doesn't mention the importance of the city attorney's office in that process. Maybe it's a glaring omission, but hopefully that'll be cured during the course of this campaign and whoever is the next city attorney. But again, I think the attention of the council needs to be paid because there's a glaring loophole with regard to all of these matters in connection with the enforcement of track map conditions. Lastly, Watts Gang Task Force, I thought it was quite impressive that Jack Weiss attended a Watts Gang Task Force meeting Monday the 16th, I believe it was, and also there were some other attendees there that I think will hopefully expand the sense of the importance of taking care of the little people and the disempowered people, whoever is the next city attorney, and I would make the same request of Mr. Chutanich, that he also show up to the Watts Gang Task Force and demonstrate his commitment to the people of Watts and to the disempowered in this city. And the best way to do that is, as George Burns said, 90% of life is show up. Thank you.
Thank you. Arnold Sachs is our next speaker. After Mr. Sachs will be Zuma Dog. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Arnold Sachs. In hindsight, it was a great victory that Measure B lost. Here's an article that was in the LA Times regarding a hot solar deal for Edison. BrightSource will supply the utility with plants. They're going to build a 400-megawatt plant in the Mojave Desert, which is approximately the amount of solar energy looked to be produced by Measure B. And guess what? LAWA has 4,000 acres of property up in Palmdale. Why not have the two departments, LAWA and the Department of Water and Power, work together and build a solar power plant that can generate 400 megawatts of energy? And get this, with city council leadership, it could all come together. Everybody will be happy. You have two departments, one with property and one with a desire. Instead of sticking solar panels throughout the city, you can build a solar power plant, and then you know where you can stick the power panels. It's a great idea, and you have a blueprint to follow. Edison is in a deal with BrightSource to build a solar power plant. As a matter of fact, they're going to build 7 of them throughout Southern California. Don't put the onus of this stupid legislation initiative on the backs of the public. Take charge for a chance, lead from the front for a change, and have an initiative or the guts to look into the power plant. You have the property, you have 2 city agencies, corrupt as they may be, but for a change they'd have to do something for the public. Let's explore that for a change instead of looking to carry the public, have the burden to carry.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Zuma Dog is next, and then after that is Matt Dowd.
Yes, my name's Zuma Dog from ZumaTimes.com, LA's bamboozle buster, shining light on political shadiness. I tell you, today is 2 of the biggest I told you so's of all time, and I'm going to take out a classified ad. Desperate constituent in search of leadership at LA City Council chamber, because I don't see any. 2 big I told you so's, and here's why y'all better start listening to me a heck of a lot more around here. I told you about REAP, rent escrow. I told you people were getting kicked out. Eric Garcetti told me, no, it's not that bad. I told you you're going to have a federal lawsuit. Okay, guess what? She's here today. Carol Knapp, and the lady here you saw, the 84-year-old, she looks great for the circumstances she's under. So let's put an end to this nonsense. I'm just going to pretend like I'm running the show here because we need a leader, and I'm here more than any one of you have ever been this past year. Check the record. So fix this REAP program. It's to fix landlords. It's not to crack down on old ladies and kick them out onto the streets. Secondly, my friend Hefe, and will you please stand up? I told you about Machete Boy. I told you about Venice Beach, the performer spaces. I told you about a federal judge and the fact that you are not listening.
He said that there has to be a certain amount of space throughout the boardwalk. You said, hey, screw you, Charlie, we're going to put them where we want, and you scaled back substantially. You scaled back against a federal judge. He knew it was coming. Zuma Dog knew it was coming. And here's my friend Hefe. Someone tried to stab him to death.
Mr. Dog, if you could just lower your voice a little bit. Thank you, just for the volume. Thank you.
Hefe, someone tried to stab him to death last week because you, the city of Los Angeles, did not listen to a federal judge and you scaled back on the amount of spaces, so you have people stabbing each other over it. Why don't you shut down all the elevators over here except for one of them, and you'll be seeing people get the Janice Hahn elbow all day long. All right, so I'm here to say you better start listening, because the mayor says 20,000 affordable housing units. I say they're hotel units. That's what's next. You better take a hold of the city council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dog. Matt Dowd is our next speaker.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I want to apologize to Channel 35 Friday if I used an expression that might have offended people. But I get driven to that because I see people like Zuma Dog and Michael Carrion having legitimate comment, and then the stupid attorney has to shut him down for something that's just ridiculous. So I gave you something to shut me down for, so the public could see what that was all about. But anyway, Mr. Garcetti, sorry, I lost my
Please
voice.
address the council as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, I got the Wendy Gruhl syndrome right now. You're out there with Obama, council president. I want to talk about you. I mean, I really just want to talk to you, because you're out there with Obama talking up the change and this and that, and everything's going to be great with the new president, and you're there on the front line doing all that, but we come down to City Hall, and here's all these people. They don't see any change. They don't see anything. You got Dr. Wiseman, he comes down all the time talking about how public comment's such a waste of time because of your attorneys trying to shut it down. Instead of trying to deal with how we deliver the comment, and we deliver it like this because it's effective, because it's all we have. It's all we have, for God's sake. Now guys are getting stabbed down on the boardwalk because you're taking away all the performer spaces, and so I'm going to keep coming back. Here's the next federal case. See, now I don't even want to get all wound up like this. So I picked him up from UCLA last night, and it's very real. I'm going to come back with the blood. If you want the blood on Tom LaBonge's hands, that's it, bro. It's on you.
Sir, if you could address the council as a whole, please. Hefe is our next speaker. After that will be Olga Hall.
Good morning, City Council. I'm the guy Friday that Matt Dowd told you about. Last week I got stabbed 5 times. I'm walking right now with 2 holes in my lungs this big. I got 3 stab wounds. They can't do anything about them. It's cool. I'm going to live. I didn't die. I'm able to sit here right now and tell you the federal judge told you, man. He gave y'all a chance, but as usual, you didn't listen. We need more spaces. People are at the morning coffee shop figuring how far am I going to go to get a space on the Venice Beach Boardwalk to sell my wares. And no one here at the City Council is listening. We need more spaces.
We're listening. We'd ask folks in the audience to please, so we can listen to the speaker, to please behave. Thank you.
I see everybody doing what you're doing.
We're listening, sir.
I really want you to listen to me. I got a gang of holes in me. You know what I'm saying? I'm alive and well today. Because I'm a citizen of California, Los Angeles. I'm from Venice, man. America, we have to start leading by example. And we've got to start right here in Los Angeles. We have to fly the colors of the greatness of the world. White, black, red, yellow, and brown. This is the greatest city in the world. But we are making laws and policies and procedures that are driving our citizens to the point to where they have to go way to death before they can get what they want. I mean, I can show you how your laws got me with all these.
Thank you, sir. Your time is over. If you could, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your comments today. Olga Hall is our next speaker. Ms. Hall? And then after that will be Joseph's, I think it's Surratt. Excuse me if I mispronounced that. I can't quite read it. Good morning. You'll be next, sir, after Ms. Hall.
Good morning, Mr. President, councilmen, members. The Autry Museum will come to the city any day and will ask you for the permit to expand their museum in Griffith Park. A whole egg represents the Southwest Museum with a complete collection of Native American artifacts. Its possibilities are infinite. In the other hand, I hold an empty shell. This is what the Southwest Museum will be if you give the Autry the permit for their expansion in Griffith Park. The Southwest Museum, besides holding a priceless collection, is the first museum in Los Angeles, and it's your responsibility to protect it as a whole and not help the Autry take the collection and fill the museum with bright pieces of paper to appease the community. At the time, you should all know the Autry intentions from the very beginning was to steal the Native American collection from the Southwest Museum. All their friendly smiles and talk have only one intention: to deceive our community. Just like Murdoch, with his Ponzi scheme, deceived not only his friends, but so many others. I call on Councilman Reyes to be our leader in this issue. He grew up in this community and has a deep love for the Southwest Museum. Councilman Reyes knows the great value of the Southwest Museum has, not just as an icon for the prosperity of the Northeast community, but the greatest value it holds is for our children's education and pride. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph, and I'm sorry, Joseph, is it Surratt? Yep, okay, got it. Good morning. And after that will be Walter Bechtel.
Good morning, Mr. President. I lost my voice a couple of days ago. But anyway, good morning, Councilwoman Hahn. Our community leader of 30 years, doing a great job. Measure B has gone down into defeat by the voters of Los Angeles. I'm representing Labor's International Union of North America with over 1 million members in the United States and Canada. And we're requesting, Mr. President, that all trades, all labor unions be involved in the development of this new solar program, job creations for all the citizens of Los Angeles. We have a lot of skills to offer. We have a great labor history. For those who don't know it, Labor's International Union has built America for over 100 years. So, Mr. President, thank you so much. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, and I know our chair of the chair of our Energy and Environment Committee, Ms. Perry, is making sure those conversations are occurring. So make sure to check in with Ms. Perry's staff as well. Walter Bechtel is our next speaker, and after that will be Melrose Larry Green. I'm sorry, we have our next speaker is Walter Bechtel. Is there another speaker? Okay. Mr. Bechtel?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the council for last week interrupting and allowing me to continue to speak, because I think it's important that we exercise the freedom of speech here, even if it's something that somebody doesn't think that we should say. Anthropologists will tell you that mostly white people don't react when people call them names or something, and they don't get angry, and different ethnic groups react differently. But I think that's a mistake. I think if somebody has said something to offend white people, or especially French people, of which I have a lot of ancestry, you should say something and quit holding this like dead weight or above everybody's head, because I don't think it's a good idea to. It's kind of like a threat in itself, not saying anything about something. If you're gonna, if somebody, I mean, you could like during World War II, we didn't say nothing, and we ended up dropping nuclear bombs on Japan. I think it's not a healthy kind of a situation, and I just wanted to mention Mr. Barack Obama already apologized for what he said, but in French, if you call somebody a pig, that's the most serious insult that you can insult somebody. And the only reason I wanted to bring it up because he came to this city and he had a few things to say about disabled people too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bechtel. Melrose Larry Green is our next speaker, and then Arlene Canada.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It was, like everybody else, I was terribly shocked to hear about the news in Oakland of the 4 policemen that died, and I just came from the police commission, expressed my condolences to the LAPD. You know, today's LA Times indicates that in the San Fernando Valley, 14% of the parolees have arrest warrants. That's 14%. That's 4% more than in Oakland. 20% in Santa Ana, 18% in Inglewood. These are parolees with arrest violations. Now, I know there's other problems facing the city of LA, but I think public safety is the greatest problem facing the state and the city. And everybody, you all know my personal politics. I have nothing but prayers for President Obama. I'm a much worse bowler than he is, by the way, and I wasn't offended by his remarks, Eric. You can tell him that. I was not offended by his remarks. But I would like to say that Chief Parks, I've known him for years, correct me if I'm wrong, you have about 45, 43 years of experience in policing. Is that correct?
If we can just be sure to...
Yeah, I know you have to address the whole council. Well, I think it's a high time now that Bill Bratton, Mayor Villaraigosa, and Bernard Parks get together and work on making certain that what happened in Oakland never happens again. He has a lot of expertise, Chief Parks, and I'm speaking to him as a former chief, not as a city councilman. And I know Bill Bratton's a great guy and all that, but this is not about personal likings. Look, I'm a Republican. I don't like a lot of Democrats, but I'm friends with you all. I want to get things done in this city. Tom LaBonge is my great councilman, and I'm with all of you, and I did vote for Mayor Villaraigosa. Sorry, Zuma Dog, but Antonio is one of the greatest mayors LA's ever had. Thank you. I'm Melrose Larry Green. Let's get Parks and Bratton working together to solve these problems so that what happened in Oakland never happens again. My prayers are with the families. And you know how I feel about the media. I'm not going to waste my time now. But this was a disgrace, the way the sister of that man wants to sue the Oakland Police Department. Where did those guns come from? Was she harboring, aiding, and abetting a fugitive? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Larry. Arlene Canada is our last speaker.
Okay.
Oh, sir, Gerardo, we had you under 29. Did you want to speak in general public comment? Okay. Well, after Ms. Canada, we'll make sure you get up there. My apologies.
My name is Arlene Canada, and I'm from Los Angeles Trade Technical College. Thank you. I'm aware we are in a recession and healthcare needs immediate attention, but the one thing I'm doing to fight for my country is taking care of my body so my body will take care of me. Yet I hope we can show the City Council we the people need your help for better health care so we can continue saving lives. And one more thing. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did a great job. And thank you to everybody who's here from Trade Tech. I love you guys. Gerardo Almeida?
Yes, Gerardo Almeida. I'm here representing Southern California District Council Laborers. Measure B was defeated. It's a good idea, solar power and green initiative, but the way it was written, it was going to exclude a lot of people from the community. We need to put people to job in sustainable arenas, not just the photovoltaic, but what goes after that. I visited Ms. Hans Watts Community Gang Task Force. Mr. Weiss was there. It's a wonderful thing that they're trying to do right there, and those people need jobs. A lot of them are not going to be able to get into the IBW to do some of the installation. We train photovoltaic installation up to the connection, NAPSAP certified members. Now, we're ready to bring on the public without them having a high school diploma, without any of that, and teach them this trade and make them be partners in this whole Los Angeles stimulus that we're trying to do. Now, we're for the solar, but we're just against the way it was written. We want the whole community, other unions, trade schools, everybody to participate in this situation. We're all ratepayers. This, like I said before, this is the chance for Los Angeles to lead the nation in sustainable green jobs. With us, when they're not putting photovoltaic, they'll be doing concrete, they'll be doing heavy highway. Our laborers make between $65,000 to $95,000 a year. It's not chicken scratch, and that's without a high school diploma. So we're ready to put the people to work. We have parolees in the laborers union, and they're really excelling for the reason that they have a meaningful job. We don't exclude. For the reason I come from that background, I know what it is to be discriminated against. Because of the laborers union, I stand before you as a representative and as an organizer. I've walked for Obama in New Mexico. We've walked for politicians. It's now time for Los Angeles to set the lead and give a true stimulus economy, bringing people from community, not just one trade or one situation. We need to put people to work. We have people ready to go to work that are sitting here. We have parolees that are looking for sustainable jobs. Please, rewrite the situation, and let's work together as a community with company owners, with people out there who really have an interest in this whole green thing.
Thank you, Rado. Appreciate your comments today. That'll close our general public comment. If we can now take up the commissioner hearing. He's been very patient. Item number 21, please.
And that is the appointment of Ms. Carmelo to the Native American Indian Commission.
And which committee did that go through?
It was actually waived out of the Arts Committee.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to recognize Mr. Labange and ask our commission nominee to come forward, please, to the table. Ms. Carmelo?
Yes.
Ms. Carmelo?
Tonasin, if you would join us right here, please. Carmelo is a recommendation from Mayor Villaraigosa for our Committee of American Indian Commission for Los Angeles County, which serves the city and county. I waited out a committee. We've had a conversation on the phone. We've had a briefing here. And if you could just address the council on your passion. She grew up in Southern California.
Yes.
We went to UC Irvine.
Yes.
And has a lot of passion to helping people. And if you would want to address the council.
Sure. Good morning, City Council members. It's an honor to be here for this consideration. I'm a descendant of the original people of Los Angeles, the Tongva or Gabrielino people. I was born and raised in the Southern California area. I'm also a descendant of the Degano people from San Diego. And I've been considered for this appointment. I think the one thing that I would like to see most in this city as a Native American person, a descendant of the original people, is that our heritage be claimed amongst the heritage of the entire city. In the form of, a lot of times we've been ignored, we've kind of been under somewhere, in the closet, and I want our heritage to be brought out and known throughout the whole city, not only amongst the fourth graders, but amongst all of you and the general population. So that's my passion.
But I think that's so important, members, that we'll have a commissioner not only from our own life skills, but also to look to articulate the history of the Native people in Southern California and Los Angeles in particular. We spoke about the Ferndale section of Griffith Park, where there was a village of the original people of this region.
Yes.
And that is a monument, that is recognized, but there's more that could be. Strong recommendation for an aye vote, and I thank you for your service to the people of Los Angeles and city and county.
Mr. Reyes. Thank you, Council President. First, I want to thank the mayor for appointing you. I know we have seen each other at the over in Lincoln Park, where you have many cultural events. I understand you're also engaged in the arts.
Yes.
Can you just speak about some of the issues you'd like to address as you leave, looking at your role in this capacity as commissioner?
As far as being in the arts, I work with Native Voices at the Autry. I'm actually a member of their acting company, and I think that's another take. it's a company that disperses original Native American plays to the entire city, and actually it's the only one of its kind. So that's actually also another passion of mine. Yeah.
I had the opportunity to engage different representatives from different sections of the basin, and there are different spokespersons regarding their heritage and their customs. How would you deal with all that diversity?
Oh, actually, that's a very good question. We have always been tribal in our ways, and we have many different families from many different areas. Our traditional lands of the Tonga people go all the way from the Santa Susana Mountains all the way down to Laguna Beach and San Gabriel Mountains. Out to the beach also. So I think that there are many different leaders in our tribe, and I think that's okay. I think we need to embrace everybody and let everybody have their say and come to agreements wherever we can. Of course, not that it's always possible.
So you must be a very good negotiator.
I guess I'm trying. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, and again, courage and I vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. There's no further speakers in the queue, so Mr. Clerk, if you would please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next item.
Item 14, call special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Madam President. And I don't know if we have the Office of Finance. Are you here? Are they here? Oh, here we go. Thank you. Colleagues, this is an issue that I think should be a priority for all of us, and that's the collection of debt that is out there right now. And we all know we're facing, over $400 million shortfall. Next year, sounds like it's going to get worse after that. And what's come to light is there is a lot of money out there that is owed to the city of Los Angeles through different areas, whether it's parking fines or EMS or other debt. And it's a little disturbing, I think, to many of us that we have so much debt that's not being collected. It regularly comes before the City Council for us to basically write it off, to get it off our books, and it hurts most of us to think this is money that is owed to the City of Los Angeles. We're trying to find every way possible to close our budget gap without having to lay off people, without having to cut services. And here's money that we just can't seem to collect. And what we find is that the City of Los Angeles has contracts with 4 collection agencies. All 4 of those contracts were executed September 2007. They commenced on October 1st of 2007 for a period of 3 years. So what we have before us today is a recommendation from the Budget and Finance Committee that we instruct the Office of Finance to report back to us in 90 days on the feasibility of creating a pilot project which would allow the city to add additional collection agencies immediately to help with the new debt collection. We want to know when it's possible to release a new RFP. We want to know what the legal aspects are of creating a second set of RFPs for additional collection agencies. We want to identify the percentage of delinquent debt collected directly by the Office of Finance and the percentage of debt collected by the city's collection agencies once debt is referred to them. We basically want to figure out how to collect this debt. So what I want to know is this something that is feasible for us to be doing? Is this something that you think is kind of the right direction we should be going in? Can the 4 collection agencies right now handle the increase in debt that we know is actually, because of the economy, we're probably going to have more of that out there right now?
Absolutely. Definitely, we're more than willing to do a detailed review and report back to you in 90 days about the possibility or capabilities. Our position has generally been that we feel, because of a number of reasons, that it can and should run its course into 2010. However, we definitely will evaluate all possibilities. Your concerns are definitely noted, and we share the same ones. As we've talked about on a number of occasions, most of the debt comes from two specific sources, and we have made a great deal of progress in working with the fire department about the collection of delinquent emergency medical service billings. So we are in the process of changing a couple of ordinances now that will help us send those out for review. But specifically in addressing your question, we definitely are willing to evaluate that and work with whatever sources to be as efficient and effective as possible.
Now, with these policy changes, particularly with DOT is looking to amend their separate contract with a different collection agency. City attorney is drafting amendments to allow EMS accounts to be referred to our contracted agencies. How much more debt do we think, as a result of these policy changes, we're actually going to incur and be able to collect?
I think particularly as it is related to the fire department, it's a substantial amount. Without going into detail, if you've seen the report regarding the collection sheriff, etc., it's a substantial amount on the books that has just simply not been referred to date. Much of it is aged and should be written off, and we're working with the departments to do that as well, because it simply has just been on the books for a number of years and realistically is not collectible. But if you're looking for a dollar figure, I don't know how comfortable I am, but I would imagine it's probably going to be tens of millions of dollars.
Tens of millions of dollars. Are these four large agencies, are they able to subcontract and maybe bring in some smaller local firms to take a piece of this and help collect it?
That has traditionally not been a part of the agreement or the contract. Is it doable? Is it workable? Probably so, yes.
Yeah, I would really like to see that also as something that we look at, is their ability or their willingness to subcontract. The other thing I'm concerned is, and there's nothing against national brands, but these four agencies that we have are national. They collect debt all over the country, and I feel like we, in these tough times, we need to continue to try to give Los Angeles businesses, a piece of this effort. Do we have right now a local business component when we do our RFPs for collecting debt?
Well, two things.
And if not, why not?
One of the agencies actually is located in Los Angeles, one of the four.
Which one?
Kane and Weiner. They are headquartered here in Los Angeles. But in terms of providing incentive or trying to identify local firms, we have traditionally just tried to outreach on as broad a scale as possible to get the most efficient and effective collectors. But we give everyone an opportunity, notification to participate in the selection process. So we just simply try to make it as fair and amicable as possible.
Well, again, colleagues, I know we've got contractual agreements with some of these firms. What this item is asking is, do we have something to stand on where we could actually reissue some RFPs, maybe look at some of these firms subcontracting out? I don't know about you, but it just hurts for me to approve something publicly where we write off debt every 3 months when we so desperately need it. I think the system is broken. I think we've got these big, large firms, so I'm sure they think they're doing a good job. I always think we can do something better. And I think the idea of giving it to a few more firms, some smaller firms, some local firms. Look, hungry for my father used to say 0 from 0 is 0. We don't have the money now. If we don't have it after we try this new direction, we still don't have it. We haven't lost anything. But what if we give it to a firm who's hungry, who's really wants to, in this economy, make some more money, and they get money, the city gets money? Seems to me this is the right time to begin looking at it. It may not produce what I think it will, but why not try? So, colleagues, I'd like to approve the recommendation from the Budget and Finance Committee. I would like to two things, make a verbal agreement. One is I'd like a report back in 60 days and not 90 days. I feel like this is urgent. I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. This is money that I think we need to really be going after aggressively. And the other thing is I'd like to add a local business component to the RFPs when we go back out to see what firms are out there. I just think it's our job in Los Angeles. If we don't look out for our local businesses, who will? Thank you. What do you think?
Thank you very much, Ms. Harmon. I think that'd be friendly amendments to the report. Okay. So with that, Madam Clerk, if you could open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Thank you. On item 17, we're going to continue that 2 weeks.
And that will be April 7th.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 18, call special by Councilmember Weezer.
Mr. Weezer.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I understand there's some representatives from the from Metro here. Is that accurate? Can you please come up and to the front desk here, please? Thank you very much. And colleagues, this is a motion that was put forward asking Metro if they could come report to council on two items. One is with the pending opening of the Gold Line from Union Station to unincorporated East L.A., I thought it was important to inform not only the council but the public about this pending opening date in just a few months, and to ask Metro what they're doing to promote this line to ensure that people take advantage of this great new transportation system that will connect the east side to the rest of Los Angeles. And secondly, this motion was put in at a time when gas prices were at an all-time record high, and more people were looking to public transportation as an alternative to their automobile. What happened was we also had a recent fare increase about that time, and I was asking the question with a decline, or so the numbers were provided to me, in bus ridership, if in fact there was an impact with a fare increase on the lower ridership for buses. And I wanted to have an understanding so that we, as elected officials, can talk to our constituents about what's happening in public transportation and hopefully support and promote more people to take public transportation. So with those two questions, and I know you made a brief presentation to the Transportation Committee, I thank you for that. If you could just give a brief presentation to the council and the public. And thank you so much for being here, and please identify yourselves before you begin speaking. Thank you.
Patricia Torres-Springer with Metro.
Arthur Henry with Metro.
We're happy actually to be here before the council to address this important event. You know, it's a big milestone for Metro. I'm going to address the outreach efforts on the line first, and then my colleague will go into the other parts of the motion. So we'd like to give you a brief overview of some of the outreach efforts staff is developing in preparation for the opening of the Gold Line East Side Extension. At this time, we don't have a specific date for the opening. We're still in the works, and I'm sure some of your offices have been notified, but we're still in the works of finalizing a date. But what we've sort of envisioned is a big grand opening weekend with a VIP event on a Friday before the actual grand opening. There would be a press conference. We'd have everybody there. This would be geared toward generating publicity for the opening of the line. In addition, for the grand opening weekend, the fares would be free for people to experience riding the Metro Gold Line East Side Extension for that weekend only. And then there would also be entertainment and other press events planned along the line. In addition, staff is planning to conduct outreach and promote the line between May and June of 2009 through outdoor advertising, including bus shelters, billboards, side of buses, through print advertising, other press events, and e-marketing. Again, these events are geared toward promoting the actual grand opening of the line. In the longer term, staff intends to continue promoting the line through our regular marketing efforts, and the goal is to promote the line as part of our larger transit network. Now, my colleague Arthur Henry is going to talk about our Metro's efforts to promote safety along the line.
Thank you, Patricia. Good morning. Besides the outreach and opening, what's an important component of this opening is the safety outreach that we do. I have a bunch of numbers here, but I'll skip them. But we have trained a number of students in the area on safety. In fact, a number of students who are close to the trains, we have briefed them a second time. We've also trained seniors, staff members at Kaiser and White Memorial. We've done an outreach in terms of safety flyers and hangers distributed to areas, businesses, and residences. We're in the process now of conducting 10 safety trainings at 5 libraries in the area. Started in March, will be completed in April. Also, starting Monday, March 30th, we'll have safety ambassadors out at 7 intersections along the right-of-way of the Metro Gold Line. These folks will be there during the peak hours, Monday through Friday, and on the weekends, to assist customers, observe travel patterns, help them cross the intersection safely, and observe safety procedures are being followed as people become acclimated to the fact that soon we'll have trains running through that area. On the second aspect, Councilmember Weezer asked about the fare increase. The Metro Board back in May of 2007 approved a 3-part fare increase. The first one went into effect July 1 of 2007. The second one was due to go into effect July of 2009 this year, and the third one in 2011. As a part of Measure R, the board directed that monies from Measure R be utilized to freeze fares for 1 year for all customers and to freeze fares for a period of 5 years for people who are senior, disabled, or students. In terms of the ridership levels, when the fare increase went into effect in July 2007, there was a decrease in bus ridership. Over time, that ridership levels came back up to where we were, but over the last few months has declined again in the last part of 2008.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that brief presentation, and I know there's a lot more to discuss in terms of the opening, and I think the opening is for May, June, sometime around there. There's no
In June, we're hoping in June, yeah.
In June. And the safety component is important. I think when there's a new rail line crossing by and all of a sudden both drivers and pedestrians are going to see this rail car passing by, it's going to be something new to them. We all have to adjust to it, especially in a highly dense area such as Boyle Heights. So I appreciate all the efforts you're doing, not only to let people know that this exists now and it's a possibility for public transportation, but also in terms of safety for those around the area. So I appreciate the work you're doing on that. My final question is on the actual gates that would be put there and the customers and how they familiarize themselves with them. What outreach is being done on that? Do we have crossing gates at on the streets?
The east side extension is primarily what we call street running, similar to the Metro Blue Line on Washington Boulevard through Los Angeles and down in Long Beach. So there are, at this time, there are not gates along the Metro Gold Line. But a few months ago, Supervisor Molina, Metro Board Member Molina, introduced a motion at the Metro Board asking that staff study and come back with a report about the cost and procedure and feasibility of installing 4 quad gates, 4 gates at the intersections on the Metro Gold Line. The Metro staff is in the process of studying that, and they've been reporting back on a regular basis to the construction committee and to Supervisor Molina. That's a process that would take, if it does occur, it would take several years to implement.
Okay. Thank you very much. And finally, I know my staff has been working very closely with Metro. Anything we can do on our end from the city side or from my office's side to realize the opening of this great new asset for the east side?
Well, there's always things we can do, but we're definitely working with your office on the opening, so
okay, great. Well, thank you very much for this brief presentation, and again, in June, we will have a new rail line opening up, long time in the works and a lot of different designs, but finally, the east side is going to get a rail line that will connect us to Union Station and beyond once we start adding more rail lines to that. But I want to thank Metro for all their hard work, and this is certainly something that the local community has been looking forward to a long time. It doesn't end here. Lots of work to do in the local landscaping, signage, improvements to allow more easier access for pedestrians to get to the rail line, improving the actual stops. I know that Metro is working with a local developer to improve those areas where it stops. So a lot more work ahead of us, and this office and the city certainly looks forward to working with Metro on those items. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, sir.
Mr. LaBanche, followed by Mr. Reyes.
Just wanted to put a thank you, Mr. Weezer, and also remind the MTA, any park, you should try to get something that tells any public space, some poster in multiple language to remind people the safety of this issue. Because we all know when the Blue Line did open up, there was an awareness that needed to be made between the motorists and the vehicle. This is something new. It's been a long time since there's been street-level rail lines in central Los Angeles and in East Los Angeles. So just any place where the public said that the Operation Safe Crossing and the other things, and also offer up Travel Town in Griffith Park, where 200,000 people come a year just to make people aware, because it's an avoidable accident.
Councilmember Labange and council members, yes, we had, you had brought up that point at the Transportation Committee back, and since then I've had discussions with your staff, and we're moving ahead with the feasibility, and we'll have discussions, we'd have discussions after we get through the opening of the Gold Line about the feasibility of a safety exhibit at Travel Town, for example.
Right, or anywhere where there's a congregation of people, because it will be a tremendous benefit, but then people don't realize that sometimes, because it's been a long time in some parts of the city where it's a constant new conveyance. So, thank you, Madam President. Mr. Weezer, anything I can do to help, just let me know.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to say congratulations. I know how hard it is to put something like this together. Watching the goal line occur from Union Station to Pasadena, to see this leg actually occur is a tremendous accomplishment. One of the factors that will inevitably come up, especially on opening day, is when we get questions like, where will they be maintained? What's the maintenance like? And will they be running through our neighborhoods at certain hours as they're going on a non-revenue basis? Could you speak to that in the best way possible in regards to how that's being dealt with?
I know there's outreach to the community, council member. I would have to get back to you precisely in terms of how we identify and told the community how you want to answer.
Well, do you mean for yourself to tell the community?
Well, when we started getting,
Yeah.
well, let me backtrack a little bit. In the mid-'90s, early '90s, we had an agreement with MTA that the yard next to the Elysian Park would be temporary. It took about 10, 12 years to get built. By the time that temporary cycle was to finish, we actually got the line operating. So now we're 10 years later, and I know we're working hard with the MTA staff to find a way to mitigate, if not remove that yard. But does this operation also put more cars in the maintenance yard near Elysian Park? And if so, when it is being maintained, the individual cars, will it be going through the neighborhoods without passengers so they can be maintained? And is there a schedule for that?
My indication, there would be additional cars in the Midway Yard to service the east side portion of the Gold Line. I would not see that would be disruptive to the neighborhood in terms of cars operating after hours on the right-of-way. They would all be in the yard at that point.
Okay. So I know we are trying our best. I know President Molina is working with us and trying to find a way to deal with that commitment. Some folks are saying it was not legally binding. I say it is. We could let the courts decide, but why waste time doing that when we can just reach a solution and get remedies? So I appreciate your hard work. And you look great on the buses, too. I know, that is you, right?
Yes, sir.
Good job. All right. Take care.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. With that being our last speaker on the queue, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
I'm sorry, was there a card on this item? I apologize. Public hearing has been held. Next item?
Item 20, called special by Councilmember Labange.
If I could have city staff sit at the center table. Our CAO and our deputy city engineer and our assistant CAO. Just give the council a quick update. This is impacted by the present fiscal crisis as we move forward and move ahead.
Sure. Good morning. This report that you have before yourselves is essentially a sort of a heads up and some recommendations as far as what's happening with the Prop 12 and Prop 40 projects that are in process right now. As you know, there's roughly about 80 projects. It encompasses roughly about $95 million in these grants. Certainly, given the state's troubles with their cash flow, As most of you know and have read over the last couple of months, with the seriousness of their problems, they suspended a number, basically the reimbursement process. We have roughly about $75 million that we would like to see back in our coffers as soon as possible. One little quick update I do want to provide you. I know the state is actually going out with a $4 billion issuance later this week. I believe it's tomorrow. Hopefully they will be successful and get a good rate in the market. And if that is possible and if they are successful, then we actually might see the state actually going out to perhaps to the market again in April to perhaps get some more funding. Bottom line, it's the cash flow. They are certainly, their cash reserves have been depleted. They're not able to reimburse local agencies for these projects and a number of other projects, bond, Prop 1B monies and things of that
But we
sort.
project sometime in the future they will be able to.
That's correct.
And with your ingenuity, we've created a way to bridge that.
That is correct. We do have some bridge funding that will deal with 25 of the most critical projects. Hopefully, I would say by August, we'll see some relief at the state level as far as some reimbursement.
Right. Members, I just wanted to bring this to our attention. And I don't know if any of the other representatives need anything to say, but so that you focus on projects that are in your districts. There has been a hiccup in the giddy-up, as they say, with the financial crisis. But with this method here, we're going to be able to bridge that and get through this stormy time, but they would need to be replenished by state reimbursement sometime later this year. As long as everybody's aware of that, you and your deputies are watching your projects, because I know people are anxious to see us deliver on Prop 12 and other park issues. It's key. I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Labange. And with that, let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Thank you. We'll send that forthwith. Next item, please.
Item 23, called special with 4 cards.
All right. 23, Dr. Clyde Williams, if you'd like to come forward.
Dr. Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno, different case. We live in earthquake country. We depend upon facilities which need to be designed for earthquake country. We depend upon seismic standards to help assure us of our safety from earthquakes, which are coming. The need for correction of technical and clerical errors does not bode well for our seismic standards or safety. The seismic standards still do not appear to reflect the finally recognized seismic hazards of the blind thrust faults of Whittier, LA, San Fernando Valley, and those that lie directly beneath us at this point. Building and safety should upgrade the seismic standards to reflect the blind thrust threats. Building and safety should also impose a requirement for seismic and liquefaction considerations whenever an environmental consideration is being made. Building and safety should help the planning department on 7th floor, as planning decided that geology was not a significant issue for the EIR that's being prepared for the cornfields and Arroyo Seco specific area plan, although it sets directly on top of well-defined, well-recognized by the USGS, Elysian Faults, Cygnus Fault, Metro Faults, and others, and also the fact that it's going to be done on a liquefaction zone. Thank you.
Thank you. That will close our public comment for this item. Please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. If we can go to the next item. Actually, if we can reconsider the previous ordinance that was going to carry over, I think it was 20...
It's 22, Mr. President.
Yeah, if we can please open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
We took an earlier vote on that, but there weren't 12 members. Now we have 13, so let's go ahead and take that vote again, if we may. Please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 28, called special for cards.
Okay, item 28 is our next one. If Mr. Williams, or Dr. Williams, if you'd like to come forward. Excuse me.
Clyde Williams, 4115 Barrett Road, El Sereno. The high school program is a very good program. And in fact, in El Sereno, Caltrans used to support an engineering internship, fellowship training for our high school students in El Sereno. The State Route 710 is coming. It most likely will come through Northeast LA. Caltrans has not seen fit to try to provide us with the benefits, although they are going to provide South Pasadena and Alhambra and part of Pasadena with significant benefits. In the future, we will suffer the risks and perhaps the impacts from the construction of the tunnels. I would highly recommend that the Public Works Board or Department communicate with the Caltrans people to see if we can get more high school training programs both in Wilson and in Franklin high schools in Northeast LA. Thank you.
Thank you. That will close our comments on item 28. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. Labange?
Forthwith on this item for Mr.
Okay, we'll send that
Cardenas.
forthwith. We can go to the special meeting, please, and call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruel, Hahn, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosenthal, Smith, Weiss, Westenstein, Gassetti, 13 present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First item of business, please.
Is a one-item agenda. Item 29 is an item for which public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, we have a card from the public. Arnold Sachs, if you'd like to come forward on item 29. And if there's no objection from the council, the consideration is before us.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you, Arnold Sachs.
Morning.
While you're considering this, to certify the results, take a good look at the results. 275,000 people voted for Measure B. The amount of people that actually voted in this election is pathetic for the second largest city in the USA. There must be some message there to get such a low turnout for such a quote-unquote vibrant city as L.A. There's something to that message about how things are done. And how things are done are kept neat and orderly by this city council and the people that pulled their strings. It's a wake-up call. Although we've had many previous ones, this is definitely more of the same. We need a larger alarm clock here. The public is being led around by the nose by a minority of a minority. Special interest groups get what they want by manipulating the ballots, by manipulating the amendments, and by manipulating the votes. And along that line, Mr. President, if you don't mind, the item that you had recently on your agenda with the public, with the transportation issue, with the gold line. 3 weeks ago, Mr. City Attorney mentioned when there was an item on your agenda for AT&T, there was a discussion held and public hearing was allowed. Public hearing was not allowed for this one, and there was a discussion held. I'm looking for some clarification. When you can't clarify the small details, how can the public expect you to clarify the large ones? It would really be helpful. We look for direction from the City Council, and all we get is an enigma.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. That will close our comments on this from the public. Ms. Hahn is our first speaker.
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to take this opportunity. I know the city clerk is going to report back, but since this item is about certifying the final results of this past election, I had some issues in my district where entire neighborhoods did not get their sample ballot. I had some other complaints of people whose polling place changed and they weren't notified. But the sample ballot issue really bothered me, and it was in a pretty large neighborhood in this election. So I just want to make sure when the city clerk reports back, I think April, that you can address to me and to the satisfaction of my constituents what went wrong, and more importantly, how we can prevent something from that happening in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Zion, Mr. Reyes, Mr. Weezer. Mr. Zion.
Just briefly, in response to that, motion was prepared regarding some of the situations that took place, and the city clerk's going to be coming to committee and explaining all that. So if there's any issues that are pressing, let us know, because we will discuss them all and find resolutions so it doesn't happen again, because I think each and every one of us have something to offer in that particular situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. Mr. Reyes.
First, thank you for bringing this forward. We did write a letter to the city clerk. Hill Ribbon Park did not even have its voting facilities in place. So we had to hustle and bring that together, and we got a letter to that effect. And we had some other miscues. So again, and in particular for me, it's important because it's an area in the Pico Union Westlake area that did not have the strongest history of voting. And in the past 2-3 terms, there's been a strong turnout. So we had folks geared up, excited, and when they get there, it's not there. And that was very disillusioning for some. So I appreciate this effort. Again, it's a preventive measure. It's not about, going after or beating up on staff. It's more about understanding how we prevent this in the future. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And colleagues, I just wanted to, first I wanted to congratulate the winners from this last election, but I also wanted to remind ourselves that there's another election to do runoffs. And as you know, a proposal that's been around these chambers and in the community colleges and other jurisdictions is to have ranked choice voting so that we do not have runoffs, we prevent voter fatigue, and we save millions and millions of dollars. Our city clerk is currently discussing this with several experts, and recently Mark Ridley-Thomas, our new supervisor, has supported the concept, as has several school board members. I think it's something worthwhile looking at. I'm looking forward to getting the results from our clerk so that we could move forward and hopefully save millions of dollars and also prevent voter fatigue. And in fact, today we have another election. Voters at Senate District 26 are going out to vote, and it would be very interesting to see what the voter turnout is there as well. So thank you for your attention on this. Please let's inform ourselves about the ranked choice voting so that we can save millions of dollars and prevent voter fatigue. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Huizar. No other members wish to be heard. Let's go ahead and open the roll on certification, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
And pending the mayor's signature, those results will be certified. Forthwith, please, without objection. Next order of business, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to adjourn the special meeting and go back to the regular meeting?
Yes, please. Let's adjourn that and go back to the regular meeting. Next order of business.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
Excuses on the desk. Councilmember Alicant, request to be excused May 26th, 27th, September 29th, and 30th for city business that meets council policy.
Okay, those excuses are granted.
Councilmember Huizar, request to be excused April 21st for city business that meets council policy.
Mr. Huizar is excused.
Councilmember Hahn, request to be excused Friday, April 3rd to leave at 11:30 for city business. A motion is required.
Okay, I'll go ahead and move that. That takes us down to 11 or 10. Okay, I'll move that. Ms. Gruhl, second, and that excuse is granted as well.
And last, Councilmember Reyes, request to be excused April 21st and 22nd for city business that meets council policy.
Okay, Mr. Reyes is excused as well.
That clears the desk.
All right. Colleagues, due to the great leadership of Janice Hahn, and I know she announced it on Friday, I wanted to remind people that tomorrow is the first day that we are going remote in San Pedro. So if you live closer to San Pedro, you can go down to San Pedro City Hall, and just as we have in the San Fernando Valley right now, you can testify remotely there, and we can hear you and see you here in council chambers and on Channel 35. So if that is more convenient to where you live, it is part of our continuing efforts to bring city council meetings closer to all Angelinos. That in addition to our archived footage that is now available online of all of our past council meetings, our streaming footage on the internet, of course Channel 35, and using your telephone with council phone gives you a whole 7 ways of being able to access our city council meetings, and we hope that that will increase our democracy here in Los Angeles and give people a stronger sense of the city government and what they can do to improve the quality of their life here in Los Angeles. So thank you, Ms. Hahn. Again, that's Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at San Pedro City Hall, 638 South Beacon Street in San Pedro. Other announcements? Mr. Smith.
Yeah, Mr. President, thank goodness this doesn't end up in our later part of this meeting in adjourning motions, but I just wanted to announce that on March 8th of 2009, Officer Robert Perez from Central Traffic Division was wounded in Afghanistan when his Humvee struck an IED. He's in the gunner's turret and got severe burns from the bomb. His partner was burned even worse, and the driver was killed. So he was very fortunate to survive. He's in the Burns Brooks Center in San Antonio, Texas, and looking forward to coming back to LAPD. I just wanted to announce that we had one of our police officers wounded in Afghanistan, and I'd ask that the council could somehow, maybe the clerk send somehow, if I give you the information, just a get well card on behalf of the city council.
We'd love to do that. Thank you for letting us know, and thank you for his bravery as well. Any other announcements? If not, can I ask everybody to please rise in council chambers for our adjourning motions? If everybody can please rise. And I'd like to start with Mr. Zine, and then we'll come back down.
Thank you, Mr. President. And we rise to pay respects to the Oakland officers who were killed in line of duty. This place close to my heart since I was a motor officer with the LAPD and made traffic stops like these brave officers did. And my son, Christopher's an LAPD motorcycle officer. So it plays very close to my heart to adjourn in memory Motor Sergeant Mark Dunnigan, 40 years of age, Sergeant Irvin Romans, 43, Sergeant Daniel Sakai, 35, and currently on life support, not expected to survive, is Motor Officer John Higgs, 41.
I believe he passed, Mr. Zine.
He did pass. These Oakland officers were killed during a routine traffic stop. Fourth Motor Officer John Higgs, 41, was critically injured. He was on life support, and he has since expired. An identified fifth officer, a member of the SWAT team, was killed. The suspect was treated for minor injuries. The suspect was ultimately killed by responding officers. This incident is among the deadliest attacks on law enforcement in California history. The one previous to this was when 4 California patrol officers were killed on Interstate 5 near Gorman in the 70s. Our hearts go out to the officers' families and friends. There will be services Friday in Oakland, California. May those officers rest in peace, and may the people of Oakland know that our hearts go out to them in this tragic time.
I'm sure that there's a number of other members that would like to add their words. Just for clarification, I think there were 4 officers that have now died. The fifth that was unidentified was wounded.
Yes.
And then, of course, the suspect was killed ultimately as well. But for those 4 officers, we, not only as Californians, but as folks who have officers that have been lost in the line of duty, see the senseless tragedy and try to make sense of it. But it's difficult for words to give us any meaning to what happened. But all of us as a city, not just as a city council, are brothers and sisters in arms with our officers in Oakland today and those families. Mr. Smith, anybody else want to add? Okay. Mr. Zine has a couple more, and then we'll sweep back on. Mr. Zine?
I have 2 other adjourning motions. Brooke Alexander passed away on March 27th. Brooke lived a short life, one bursting with energy. She loved to dance. She took ballet, tap, and tumbling classes. On Sundays, she enjoyed relaxing with her mother and drinking hot chocolate while reading the paper. Brooke definitely liked to read. When she wasn't reading or dancing, she'd have tea parties with her Uncle Dave and Cousin Dominic, or play Pretty Pretty Princess with her friends John and Aaron. Brooke fought a tough battle with cancer for a little over a year and a half. She passed away on the 27th. She was 4 years of age. She would be deeply missed by her family and friends, survived by her beloved mother, Karen, siblings, Kaylee, Elsie, Casey, Timothy, Sean, and she has received treatment at Children's Hospital, and her aunt is a very good friend of the folks of Canoga Park. May she rest in peace, Brooke Alexander. And I have one more adjourning motion. This is the mother of retired LAPD motor officer and helicopter pilot Lou Peak. His mom, Fanny Peak, passed away, 85 and a half years of age, born in 1923 in Georgia. As a young woman, sang in the church choir and taught Sunday school at Mount Zion Baptist Church. Both vocational high school and Georgia State College, she was a cheerleader, member of the drama club, participated in both tennis and basketball teams. Her early accomplishments included being senior class valedictorian, being voted Miss Vocational High, winning first prize in the home economics contest by designing and sewing her prom dress, recreation of one of the gowns of Gone with the Wind. In the late 40s, she and her eldest son, Louis, moved to Los Angeles, quickly reconnected with several friends from Georgia, among them Frederica Purden, who also shared her love and talent for sewing and women's fashions. Together, they successfully owned and operated a modern shop specializing in custom-designed women's apparel. Met a man that would become the love of her life, John Peake. Married in 1952, enjoyed a long, loving marriage until he passed in the year 2000. They raised their children, Louis, Albin, and Abby. She was an organizer, donated her time to several organizations, including PTA, Southeast Symphony, served 40 years as treasurer of the Southeast Symphony. Favorite events were the 23 fashion shows she organized to raise funds for the Lincoln Memorial Congregational Church and Southeast Symphony. And reflecting on the tapestry of her wonderful life, stands out most her joy, kindness, humor, unwavering loyalty she was so willing to give to her family and friends. Survived by 3 children, Louis, Megan, grandchildren, Albin. May she rest in peace. That is Fanny Peake.
Thank you. Ms. Grove?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to adjourn in the memory of Sam Bramey, who passed away at the age of 90 on March 16, 2009. He was born October 21, 1918 in San Francisco, and Sam was one of 5 children of Lalu and Regina Bramey, who were immigrants from Tunisia and Turkey. He had his first job at 6, selling newspapers, and at the age of 12, he worked in the produce market. He lost his parents early in life and joined the U.S. Navy at the age of 17, right after the attack on Pearl Harbor. After various assignments in the ships in the United States and Iceland, he was sent to Europe on the USS Pinto about a year prior to the actual invasion. His final destination was the Normandy invasion, where this crew of 80 saved ships and people, including the assistance in saving the lives of 3,400 soldiers aboard the Susan B. Anthony. After the war, he returned to Chicago to the Great Lakes Naval Base, where he met Ida Bell Ward, a beautiful Southern girl who later became his wife. They were married for 63 years and had 5 children and 4 grandchildren. Bramey was very involved in Little League as a young father and encouraged his sons to participate as well. He provided well for his family and working very hard, often traveling as part of his job. As a father, he wanted his kids to have things that he never had: Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, music lessons, dance lessons, boxing lessons, theater tickets, and a Christmas room filled with love and gifts. He was a self-made man who started his own business with a friend he met during his Navy days and never stopped earning a living until the age of retired at 80. And his family was his number one priority. Sam and Belle enjoyed lovely vacations, but once they moved to San Clemente and experienced the view of the ocean, they were in paradise. They loved having people to their home, and Sam touched the lives of many with his generosity and compassion for others. He was the devoted husband of Belle and the loving father of Samra and her husband, Bill Keller. Linda Tibby, for those of you that know Linda Tibby, this is her father, and her husband, Jarrett Comfort, Lou Bramey, Roger Bramey, and Russell Bramey. He also leaves behind 4 grandchildren: Keely Blue Tweed, Brittany Bramey, Rose Malou, and Vemvi Lou Bramey, as well as a host of other family and friends. He will be sorely missed by all who knew and loved him.
Second that for me.
Yeah.
Mr. Weezer. All members?
All members.
We'll do all members. Mr. Weezer?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, ask that we adjourn today in honor of Mr. Salvador Guerrero Salcedo, Sr., whose son Michael works for the Department of General Services. Mr. Salcedo passed away on February 24th at the age of 77. He first immigrated to the United States in 1960 and settled in Pomona. In 1985, he became a naturalized citizen of the United States. Mr. Salcedo worked in various jobs during his life, building wooden cabinets for a mobile home company. He later worked for the City of Ontario's Parks and Recreation Department. Mr. Salcedo is survived by his wife Maria, with whom he recently celebrated his golden wedding anniversary, his sister Consuelo Salcedo, who lives back in Michoacan, Mexico, his sons Michael, Jose, and Salvador Jr., his daughters Marta and Sandra, plus 8 grandsons and 3 granddaughters.
Thank Thank you. And finally, colleagues, as we adjourn today in memory of Sam Colquitt, who passed earlier this month on March 11th due to heart failure. He was an employee of PATH, People Assisting the Homeless, where he worked for 18 years, both before and then after the merger with Foundation House. He was somebody who worked as the initial director at the PATH Hollywood and the RCH PATH Male Access Center. But his passion was really the outreach program, which goes to the street and aids people who are homeless directly. And he was a great man who had a huge, huge heart. It's ironic that he died of heart failure because he's somebody who gave so much to the community from his heart and with his work. He built the foundation for what became HERO, which is right now the initiative to eliminate homelessness in Hollywood, which is went and identified every homeless person by name, is case managing them, and has already taken people off the street. So he has literally saved lives in his work, but he passed, unfortunately, and was taken from this earth on March 11th. Services were held on Friday, March 20th at Inglewood Cemetery Mortuary, and we know that he is up there in heaven doing more good work, but we remember Sam Colquitt today. Thank you. Second for Mr. Labange. If there are no other adjourning motions, Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll? We'll next be in session tomorrow, Wednesday, March 20th.